oh, I'm a good shooter.
Mhm.
And then they show up and we're like, well, I don't know. What do you mean by good? That's
Right.
subjective. I mean, how do you even start to explain that?
Yeah. So, I mean, me, like you said, the easy answer is go shoot a competition. Whether you're law enforcement, military, competitive shooter, civilian, whatever out there, if you shoot a competition, you find out what you suck at really quickly.
I'm Ryan Gresham, and this is Gun Talk Nation. Gun Talk Nation is brought to you by First Person Defender, Safariland, Savage, and Guns and Gear. Max Michel, pro shooter. That's such a weird job, isn't it?
It is, but it's a pretty cool job.
When people say, like, you're at like a PTA meeting, and they're like, so Max, what do you do for work?
It's always a conversation for sure. It's like, wait, what do you do? And how do you do that? Like, how many of you guys, I didn't think that was a real thing.
I shoot pistols.
Exactly.
For work? Like, you're a cop?
So I started just saying, like, I'm an industry consultant for the firearms industry or something basic. Like, I try to dumb it down as easy as possible because it's hard to explain what I really do as a pro shooter, So I can say, like, I run an obstacle course with a handgun, and that usually connects with some people. They're like, oh, that's cool, but it's also kind of weird.
Yeah.
So if I just say I'm a consultant for the firearms industry, they're like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Tell me more,
Now, when you, because you probably have the same thing I do. When people are like, what do you do? You're like, do I want to get into this? And like, what's the reaction going to be? There's a little bit of that where you're like, it's gun stuff, in a regular setting. But I would say 99% of the time, people are super positive and actually very interested, even if they're not gun people.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so I do have to be careful and cautious on an airplane or places like that because, I usually wear a lot of gun stuff, whether it be, the companies that I work for or whatever, and like, oh, cool gun, I like that, or then you get that kind of weird, oh, you're one of those guys. So you got to be careful of who you have around you, but for the most part, everybody's super, super kind, especially where we're from in the South.
I think I was wearing one of our t-shirts, which, if you want to go buy some merch from us listeners, you could do that. I mean, we sell dozens of dollars worth of merch every year. It's really picking up. But one of our shirts, I think it says "shall not be infringed," and it has this graphic on it. And it was like one of those where I was like, it's the last clean shirt I have going home. And I'm like, am I going to wear this on the plane? Let me just, you know what? Screw it. Yeah. I'm just going to wear it. And no one said anything to me except I was walking off the plane, and one of the flight attendants, a lady, I was walking off the plane. She goes, "Hey, I like your shirt." And I was like, "Oh, cool.
Nice, man.
Nice little, just a little wink, positive comment. Like, okay, cool.
Awesome. You get some of those. That's
you
right.
never know, man.
Yeah.
I've kind of gotten to where I'm like, just like, whatever. People are going to ask me, yeah, we do gun stuff.
Right.
And I think perhaps the people who are maybe not thrilled about it just don't say anything.
They're not going to say anything to your face anyway. Maybe on the internet, but usually to your face.
That's weirdo. I'm not letting my kids have a sleepover.
Exactly. Which, by the way, it's been super cool for me in that regard too. Like all the dads and the moms that we've met through school and all these other, organizations that we go through with the kids, whether it be sports or church or whatever. But they've all been super good to us and super kind and very understanding. And hey, can you take me to the range too? I've never shot before. In fact, in a couple of days, actually, I'm bringing somebody, one of the dads and a new shooter to the range. So looking forward to it.
So how's it going, man? You've been shooting a lot? You've been shooting a lot of matches?
So matches hasn't been as much for me this year. I wouldn't say I'm in a weird transitional phase, but just kind of dealing with some injuries. The last couple of years has been a struggle.
Yeah, what you do is physical.
It is, man. So I'm 43, which isn't old in my mind, but yeah, I mean, I'm competing against kids half my age, and there's a lot of things that go through that. So I've been competing at a high level for 27 years now as a pro for, the Army and for SIG Sauer. So I've been doing it for a long time. And then you put that wear and tear on your body. Yeah. One too many times going into a low position or exploding out of a position, something's going to give. And I take care of my body. I have trainers and physical therapists.
Oh yeah, you're a guy who trains.
I mean, I work hard, at my craft. I love what I do. I want to do it for as long as I can at the highest level. But yeah, just kind of injuries have set me back a little bit over the last handful of years, and I've fought through those. But the last couple of years has been tough. It's just one of those things. But I have been competing a little bit, not to the level that I would like. Mm-hmm. So because of that, I've kind of switched gears a little bit where I'm still competing, because I think competing allows me to stay sharp. It allows me to stay current and keeps my name in people's minds when they think about who they want to train with. And part of that is my passion to give back. So I go to the competitions to find out what I suck at so I can get better. But that also helps me as an instructor and a trainer. So now I go back and I can train law enforcement, military, government units, government agencies, and also competitive shooters and civilians out there who just are passionate about shooting or the Second Amendment. I'm able to now give back a lot more. So this year has been some competing, but it's been a lot more focus on developing product, working with marketing departments, consulting more in the industry, and of course, lots of training.
It's interesting to talk about developing products. That's got to be kind of fun, right? I mean, people are always having ideas for what would be neat, and there's been quite a bit of innovation and changes over several years of what's out there. I just had Chris on the podcast, and we were talking about, he went up to SIG and did a class, and he was the only guy, I don't know how many, there was maybe a dozen people in this class. He was the only guy shooting iron sights. Only one person out of a whole class of pistol
he's the
shooters.
Weirdo.
Yeah, he's the weirdo. And he knew it going in. He's deliberately being the weirdo. He wants to be contrary. And he said that for like a few hours, he shot a gun with a dot on it and was just crushing it. And of course, the instructors were like, why don't you shoot a dot all the time? He's like, I'm an old man. I don't like batteries. Okay.
Right.
Fine. But, what kind of where do you think we're headed with products and innovation and stuff like that?
Yeah, I think it's really, really neat. We're at a really cool time where I started shooting red dots on my optic in the mid 90s. So it's been 30 years now of shooting a red dot, but we really probably hadn't seen it on law enforcement, military pistols, for probably maybe the last 5 to 10 years max.
Yeah.
I mean, and even now there's still a lot of folks that are transitioning to that or giving them the opportunity to carry with a red dot if they want to. So it's still not even, full time yet, but I remember when I was the weirdo in all the classes, the one guy with the red dot, and now I go to all my classes that I'm teaching and you might have one guy with iron sights. Sometimes never. Sometimes it's always red dot. So what I'm getting at is I think competition shooting drives innovation.
Yeah.
And I've been fortunate to be on that front end of it and now get to reap the benefits of helping the companies that I work for bring the best products to those who protect our countries and the streets that we live in. So it's a really neat opportunity, but I think innovation is driven by the competition market. So because we're selfish, we want to be fast, we want to be accurate, we want to be the best. And that translates to the warfighter, to the law enforcement folks out there, or the self-defense folks who are carrying to protect their loved ones. So I think it's a really neat opportunity and unique time for us to be able to continue to drive that innovation. And when I say that, competition drives innovation, but it now also brings the opportunity of the SIGs and the Leopolds and the Trijicons and all these other companies out there that are wanting to do optics and wanting to do them really well. They can bring in guys like myself or whoever at the highest level who's been competing for a couple of decades and say, what are you liking? Why do you like it? How do we make it better? How do we fix it? What's the next step of it? And they have the money to then put that innovation into the right product, because early on, the optics were very big, very heavy, didn't work half the time. But now they're much lighter, much smaller, much more robust, different reticles, and they're super bright dots and, fully enclosed and all the rest of it. But yeah, so that's what's neat about it is I get to help develop products and don't really pay a dime to do it. I just get to make some really cool stuff.
You'd be like, how do I get your job, Max? Well, and what's also kind of neat is all the thinking that goes into the products, but also the shooting techniques. Like I had a whole conversation with the folks from Night Vision, where for a while we said, okay, trying to convince people with putting dots on pistols, optics. And then a lot of people go, oh, yeah. And then they go, well, but we need backups. And so we have suppressor height sights. And then you go to, but those are blocking a lot of the window.
Right.
And so we had a whole conversation about lower third, lower fifth, just we're really getting into a little bit of the weeds as far as really thinking through this stuff on what you're seeing. One of the things that, do you think that running a dot on a pistol is enough of an advantage that people just should start there?
Oh yeah, if you're going to start, I would most definitely start on a red dot.
Really?
So for instance, my kids started on a red dot. I started on irons because we didn't have the red dots when I started, but it was very early on, maybe a couple years later when red dots started to become a thing, I switched to it. So I would definitely recommend starting folks on a dot if they are new to the game, which is maybe a little different than what some other instructors might say or other shooters might say, because they feel like you got to kind of earn your stripes. Start with the irons.
You know how,
that you can
know how to use them.
Exactly. Know how to use them. But do you really? Right? I mean, I mean, if you have a red dot, just make it easier on the shooter.
Yeah.
Now these red dots are working so well, and like you said, you can get backup sights if you prefer. But I think using a red dot, it'll shorten the learning curve quite a bit for a number of different things. And a red dot is a self-correcting tool. It's a diagnostic tool. When you're shooting, you should be watching or at least seeing what that red dot is doing as you're entering a position. You know, where is the dot? Is it stabilizing? While you're shooting on the move, is it all over the place? Well, yeah, maybe get a little lower, bend your knees, roll your feet heel to toe, and get smaller steps, and you'll see the dot stabilize. That's the same thing your iron sights are doing. You just can't see it. You know, when you see that dot lift off of the target, you know exactly where that round's impacting without having to see bullet holes in the target. So there's a lot that can come from it that you can learn that can then translate into the iron sights. But I'm with you on that, the fact that the co-witnessing or the suppressor height sights can get in the way. So if you ever look at some of the 320 Max products at SIG, you're going to see there's no front sight, and that's for a reason.
He just said that. There's no front sight.
It's for a reason.
How dare you?
So when I did that early on, gosh, this was 5-7 years ago, whenever we came out with the original Max, I didn't want a sight on it. And they were like, that's really weird, dude. I don't know if this is going to work. I'm like, well, I don't want the sight because it gets in my way. So that was the whole thought process behind that. So the serious competitive shooters with red dot optics, they don't want that in there.
They're committed.
They're committed.
Taking the brakes off of the BMX bike. We're just doing this.
They're just doing it. But, you know, I'm starting to see more and more companies now. High-vis has some smaller sights that would co-witness, if you will, with your red dot. So there's other companies out there that are making that. Or, for instance, SIG has the Romeo X optic, which mounts super low. So your standard height sights can now co-witness. So I do enjoy that part of it. That, again, it goes back to the innovation of it and kind of the development of it. Well, hey, the competition shooters are doing this, so how can we make it still work for your duty shooter, but have some of the same benefits of that competition theory?
All right. How does Max Michel sight in a red dot?
Well, I think for me and the SIG Academy, we've come up with a little formula, but I think everybody's going to be a little bit differently. I typically zero my optic at 15 yards.
Okay.
And you can go into a ballistic chart just like you could for long-range rifle. You go into the ballistic chart online somewhere, and you can type in, you know, your grain bullet, the velocity of your bullet, and you want to get a zero at 15 yards. And if you're zeroed at 15 yards, it'll show you where you're zero at again. So, for instance, if you're zeroed at 15 yards, maybe at point blank, you're a little less than an inch low. You know, and then
that's not bad as far as an offset goes.
So basically, so at the further you go back, maybe at the 3-yard line, maybe you're a half inch low now, right? At the 7-yard line, maybe you're a quarter inch low, and at the 10, maybe you're a tenth of an inch, and at the 15, you're dead on, and then it's going to start to climb a little bit, and then it's going to start to drop once again. So typically, with a 147 grain bullet, going about 900 feet per second, you're probably dead on at 15 yards, and you're back on again at 35 yards as the bullet starts to drop.
Wow. Okay.
And maybe you're an inch low at 50. I hope
that's pretty good.
It's not bad, right?
I mean, and then somewhere between 15 and 35, it gets high.
It gets a little high.
An inch, inch and a half? What do you think?
Not even that much.
Not even that much?
You'll be really surprised to see it. It's less than an inch. It goes up maybe like 0.6 of an inch, like a little over half of an inch.
All right. So then, and if you go beyond, you said 50, you're like an inch low?
Yeah. So 50, you're going to be about an inch low again.
Okay. So 0 to 50, you're somewhere between an inch low and an inch high.
Yeah,
max. At any point.
At any point. So I like that 15-yard zero because of that. So now if you're using a 124 grain bullet, well, you might be on at, 15, and you might be back on again a little sooner or a little, it just depends on the velocity of the bullet.
Depends on the load.
That. I would definitely check that, but that's where I typically zero my guns. And how I zero it is I just get an old school bench rest, just get at a 25-yard line or a 15-yard line to initially get kind of where I'm at on paper. But I like to see where I'm at 25 just to do that. But 15 is where I really kind of sit down on the bench, shoot 4 or 5 shot group. Regardless of where those bullets impact on paper, don't try to chase those holes.
Yep.
Just shoot 4 or 5 good shots. When you're done, unload the gun, lock the slide to the rear, walk down range, see where those bullets are, kind of draw a circle around them, connecting all the dots, if you will, and then really try to find the center of that group. Once I find the center of that group, then I'm going to measure from that center of that group to the actual point that I'm trying to hit.
Because if you're sighting in, and that's the thing, I mean, we're talking about this is the moment to actually be precise. In your game, yes, you're being accurate, but you're kind of going fast, you're running, you're gunning, but this is the moment to actually put that pistol on a bench and really dial it in.
Yeah, take the user error out of it, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'd like to think that I can shoot a pistol pretty well, but at, even at 15 yards, if you're trying to shoot an inch group or small, I mean, you're trying to get the most accuracy as possible because you're doing a couple of things. One, you're zeroing your optic, but you're also checking your gear. At some point, you might have to change a barrel. And I want to know that. Or at some point, I'm using different ammo. How does that ammo, affect the accuracy in this barrel?
Right.
This grain bullet or this particular bullet is different from the previous bullets that I was using. Or maybe I'm using a different primer, so the velocity is a little different now. I'm using a different powder. All these things matter. So I want to check the group of my barrel, but also zeroing in my pistol at the same time. So I want to take the user error out of it. So once you get that 4 or 5 shot group, you measure, find the center of that group. Then, of course, find the center of exactly what you're trying to hit, the X ring or whatever it might be, the 10 ring. And I find out what that is. And I say, okay, it's 2.5 inches left and low. So then I would think about, okay, typically with red dot, and not to sound too nerdy here, but typically with red dot optics.
It's too late. We're there.
Yeah, we're in the weeds here now. But when you make an adjustment, every click you make is going to be 1 MOA, which means it's going to move it 1 inch at 100 yards. We're not shooting at 100 yards right now. So that means 4 clicks would move it an inch at 25 yards. But we're zeroing at 15. So it's probably 7 or so clicks is going to move it about an inch. So with that same data, as I mentioned, it's okay, I'm 2.5 inches low left. And from where I'm 2.5 inches high right. I want to go low left. So I'm going to move it left, maybe 14 clicks, and down, 7 clicks or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And then I would go shoot another 5-shot group and do the whole process over again until I get to where I'm within that X ring or bullseye, whatever you might call it. You can shoot those shoot and see targets nowadays where you can see it really easily, so you don't have to go downrange. You can kind of make some adjustments, but that's how I typically zero. 15 yards because I don't really have to think about holding off or holding under. I just essentially just aim in the center of every target I'm engaging because of that kind of, as we talked about the data before. And then the 15-yard zero is a little bit easier for some people to achieve. 25 gets more challenging. 50 is really tough.
Yeah, well, it's hard to even be accurate enough to really figure out where is it hitting.
Yeah.
Right. And also we're kind of skipping ahead a little bit too, because I imagine you're testing out different ammo to figure out what your gun likes. I mean, in your case, you could kind of develop that, but for anybody who they walk into their gun store and they buy 3 or 4 different loads, figure out what their gun likes, and then you're also thinking about like, okay, we're talking about sighting it in with your ammo that you're going to carry or your ammo that you're going to shoot in a match. So I know it sounds like, man, I could go through a whole box of ammo. Yeah, you might.
Yeah, for sure.
But don't sight it in with your 115 grain FMJs and then carry 147 hollow points because it's technically going to be different. It may not be enormously different, but it's going to be different.
Yeah, it'd be different enough if you're trying to hit a specific spot and you don't get the access to that specific spot.
All right, Max, here's what we're going to do. After the break, we're going to talk about how does someone know if they're good at shooting. Big news from First Person Defender. There's a new season launching, season 14. And with it, we're launching a brand new YouTube channel dedicated entirely to FPD. We're kicking it off with the new season, our most intense and eye-opening season yet. Carjackings, home invasions, armed robberies. First Person Defender throws everyday people into real-world self-defense scenarios, and it's all captured on camera. Subscribe now at the First Person Defender YouTube channel. You can also find it on Facebook, on Roku, everywhere else that you're going to see our videos. Real people, real training, real reactions. This is First Person Defender like you've never seen it before. Introducing Safariland's latest upgrade to its award-winning inside-the-waistband holster, the Incog X Cordura-wrapped holster, now featuring rugged Cordura fabric for next-level concealment and durability. Available in multicam, black multicam, and woodland. Designed for optics-ready pistols, the Incog X supports red dots while maintaining a slim profile. It's not just tactical, it's tailored. The Cordura wrap adds a custom feel to the holster, letting you blend in or stand out. You can learn more at Safariland's website. Check it out, the new Incog X Cordura wrapped holster. If you're like me, you love 22s and you love lever actions, and Savage has a new one called the Revel. It's a sleek modern take on the classic lever action rimfire rifle. Now they have 2 versions. They have the classic and they have the DLX, kind of the deluxe version. The classic has an oversized lever loop, Nice walnut stock. The DLX, a little bit more modernized features and aesthetic, and it has a threaded barrel. This comes in 22, 22 Magnum, 17 HMR, smooth action, nice trigger, very fun, and both of these are quick takedown, perfect for a backpack rifle. Go learn more over at savagearms.com. Want to hear about the latest and greatest in the world of guns? Well, 17 seasons of Guns and Gear, and we are back with another one. You can watch it live on Wednesday nights on the Outdoor Channel, or tune in on all the Gun Talk online channels to see what we're up to. Guns, optics, ammo, we test it all, we interview experts, and we showcase it to you. The latest and the greatest, a new season of Guns and Gear out now. All right, Max, we've been talking a little bit off and on lately about how does someone who shoots know if they're good at shooting? And obviously, you're a guy who shoots matches. That's kind of one of the no-brainer answers. We'll go shoot a match.
Yep.
You'll see, are you, 99th out of 100 shooters? Or are you number 2 out of 100 shooters, right? That's easy to know. But if you're a guy who just shoots on your back 40, you go to the indoor range, you go shoot targets, is there a way to have expectations or a drill or a gauge of like someone says, oh, we're going to come to Range Ready and take a 3-day pistol class. And we say, this isn't a beginner class. You need to know how to shoot. And I'm not picking on anybody, but people will say, oh, I'm a good shooter. Mm-hmm. And then they show up and we're like, well, I don't know. What do you mean by good? That's subjective. I mean, how do you even start to explain that?
Yeah. So, me, like you said, the easy answer is go shoot a competition, whether you're law enforcement, military, competitive shooter, civilian, whatever out there. If you shoot a competition, you find out what you suck at really quickly. Because when you're on the range with your buddies, you're good at everything because you're only going to practice what you're good at.
And let's be honest, you have to be willing. I think that's one of the hurdles for a lot of us is you sign up for a match, you have to be willing to suck in front of people.
You do. You really do. And even at the highest level, sometimes you suck in front of people,
yeah.
and you're getting paid to be there. So it happens, but I get it. It's very intimidating at times. So I would say find some other smaller competitions out there at the local level. Shoot SIG is a great one. We've done a couple here at your place. So some smaller GSSF, some smaller competitions like that just kind of put you into that uncomfortable situation. But even so, before you get there are several drills. There are several standards that you can hold yourself to. There's so many different ones out there nowadays where it's like, the triple nickel and all these other ones that guys are creating and coming up with. I have several different drills myself.
So you have ones on like your website?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So maxmichel.com, you can go check out some information there. I also have a Patreon account.
Okay.
Patreon.com/trainwithmax. And there's tons of different drills on there. I call them drills of the month, but there's 40 or 50 of them on there.
Oh, wow. Cool.
So there's lots of different things people can check out. But I would say a very easy one to go and do is IDPA. The IDPA League, or the organization of IDPA, has a couple of different classifiers. One is pretty detailed and intense of lots of different movements and lots of different courses and stages. But there's also one that's very easy. You only need one target and 10 yards in distance. So you can do that in any indoor range. And it's a 50-round drill, I believe. And it goes through a little bit of speed shooting, a little bit of accuracy shooting, some reload, some one-handed shooting. Some transitions, all on one target from the body to the head kind of a thing.
Okay.
So it covers a lot of basic skill sets of what I call the fundamentals of speed shooting, being the recoil management, the draw, the reload, and of course, hitting what you're aiming at. So you can do a lot with that one target in 50 rounds, and it'll give you a score. When you get that score, then you can look on and this isn't perfect science, right? But you can look on the scorecard and say, okay, if I did this in 27.62 seconds in total time, with all my hits added up and everything, I can look on the scorecard and say, well, I'm a masterclass shooter or I'm not. I can say so it'll tell you what level you're at within the country for that organization. So that's probably a good starting point and very, very easy to do at home.
That's great. I mean, that stuff does exist out there, those kind of benchmarks of where you're at. I mean, it's funny because what you do is a sport. You're a professional athlete. And in a lot of professional sports, we're all about the stats. We know if somebody has a 400 batting average, they're a really good hitter.
Yep.
And if somebody throws for 4,000 yards as a quarterback, they're a really good quarterback. But in shooting, there's so many people that we kind of do it for fun. I hit some, I miss some, whatever. But to just kind of know, and maybe it doesn't even matter. Look, I don't care. I'm not going to go shoot a match, and I'm not trying to win anything. But then you can maybe improve. You kind of shoot that same course of fire, you keep score, you go, oh, I need to do better with that. Or the faster I go, my shots start spreading out. Now it's specific things. I can work on recoil management or whatever that might be. Put a dot on, it'll fix everything.
For sure. But I think it comes down to, personal preference and personalities as well. Because some people just go to the range and they don't really care. They just want to go shoot. But there's others out there that want to get better. And if you do want to get better, I would say do that. Find some sort of a standard and just run that standard cold every time you go to the range. If you go to the range once a month or twice a month, just 50-round drill cold. This is what I'm doing. And just take quick notes of what you can improve upon next time, what you did well, and keep a log of that. Every month you go to the range, you can take a look at it and see. I mean, you can get, even deeper into it and dry fire and preparation and mental management and all these other things, but just go and run the drill and look at your score. That IDPA one's a very easy one. Just run the drill, look at your score, and then say, hey, what did I do well? Where did I lose time? What can I improve upon? And then kind of take some micro drills based off of that and say, okay, like you said, I'm really struggling with my recoil management because my hits are getting all over the place. So let me go watch a YouTube video on some of these top guys, what they're doing to better control the gun and get the sights to come back to the target faster. And you can work on that and then go back and take the test.
Do you use any apps for that?
So there's one out there now, and I don't really know and I haven't seen it in a long time, but there's one app that I really thought was pretty cool called Live Fire.
Okay.
LIVFIRE, just Live Fire in the App Store. I hope they're still a thing because they're pretty neat.
Yeah, I think I've seen that.
Mike Seeklander, friend of the show as well.
Seeklander's great. He's a really good shooter and a good trainer.
He is amazing. So you can go on that app, and he has several different drills on there and several videos of how to. But the other cool part of it is it's kind of like social media for gun people. It's like you're never going to get kicked off because you posted a gun pic, right?
Right.
So it's just a bunch of buddies on there kind of sharing their drills, sharing their stories, sharing what they've done at the range. But it's really neat because you can also keep a logbook. So like I've used it before training for matches where I can look through that logbook and say, okay, I shot 500 rounds today through this gun. This was the temperature. Here's a picture of the drills that I did. Here's the 3 things I think I did well. Here's the 3 things I can improve upon. And it keeps that in your app. Keeps that in your phone forever. And then you can share that if you want to with your buddies, or you can share it online so people can see kind of what you did. But Seeklander and a couple of other people are on there. And that's a really cool app if you're looking for something that's easy to go through. I think there might be a fee associated with it, but there is a free portion of it that allows people to access that too.
Yeah, it's worth, I mean, there are apps that are shot timer apps and things like that. The Live Fire one is pretty neat. I think I still have it on my phone. I think Mike sends me notifications. Mike's live.
He is. He's always live, that guy.
Going back to something you said earlier, because I'm curious, you talked about, but if I was going to check a barrel for accuracy, like pistol rounds aren't known for being like barrel burners, but can a barrel get shot out on a pistol, and how do you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think it could. I doubt that anybody would probably ever shoot it out, but there are guys out there who are watching this that might shoot 5,000 rounds a month, 10,000 rounds a month. There's people out there who do shoot a lot. I've personally only had to change a couple of barrels here and there, but it's been very rare. I've seen because I guess the velocity that I'm shooting now is much lower in these 147 grain bullets. I'm not really seeing it as much, but what I prefer to do, and this might make people cringe at home thinking, long range rifle guys are like, what the heck is he talking about? But if I can hold a 2-inch group at 15 yards or 3-inch at 25 yards, that gun's probably going to shoot better than I can shoot.
Okay.
Right. So, and I know some people are trying to get, less than an inch.
Different standards. We're talking about pistol versus rifle and all that.
Yep. So, I mean, but I'm talking a production style gun. Give me a Glock, an M&P, a 320, a production style gun. Can I physically hold that pistol and shoot a production gun with match ammo or stock ammo, whatever ammo I'm running? And if I can get it under 3 inches at 25 yards, under 4 inches at 25 yards, I can still probably be really competitive with it.
And let's be honest, 25 yards is kind of far. When you 25 yards is not far, but then when you go, okay, but we're trying to just hit a 2-inch group with a pistol at 25 yards. That's tough. It's
tough, but I would say most of my guns are shooting less than 2 inches at 25 yards or in that 2-inch range at 25 yards with the ammo that I'm running. It's very, very good, full match ammo from SIG. It's great stuff. But if you're at home loading your own ammo, I would say, look, if you can get the cost down and you can shoot, that 2-inch group at 15 yards, you're going to be competitive anywhere you go with a pistol.
Okay. All right. And obviously, a barrel swap is like the easiest thing ever on a pistol.
Yeah, nowadays with the production style guns, I keep saying production style guns because what I'm getting at is I used to shoot custom guns back in the day, right? It's custom 2011s and 1911s.
Right.
People would hand fit the barrel and the slide, and they would just be amazing. Funny story on that. I have one gun. It's a 1911. It's actually a SIG 1911. My custom gunsmith built up in New York, Dan Bedell. He built it many years ago for me to compete in the Steel Challenge with. So you're using a 115 grain bullet going 1,000 feet per second, which is just 115 power factor, and it's really, really light shooting. It's awesome. I have over 200,000 rounds in that barrel.
No kidding.
And it's still the most accurate gun that I own.
Okay. All right. Because I was gonna say, like, is there a round count? And you're like, well, so far 200,000 rounds through a pistol.
It's in the SIG museum right now because that gun is so incredible. I want to get it back at some point, but yeah, it's really cool.
Just to be clear, SIG, that's a loaner. That's a loaner. All right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Well, good deal. Tell them how they can see what you're doing. I know the Patreon thing's a big deal for you.
Yeah, so I have a Patreon account, patreon.com/trainwithmax. That's just the way that I started connecting with people during COVID. So it's been about 5 years now. And we've had a couple thousand members kind of come and go off and on. But we have a good group of folks there now that are, all sharing the same passion with one another. They all want to be better. It's kind of a community of shooters, but it gives me an opportunity to have nearly 500 videos out there right now.
Wow. That
if you join and, at that all access member, you can get access to all of those videos.
Cool.
And then there's another level of that for $9.99 a month where you can become what we call a gold member. And those gold members, they get access to exclusive videos each month that what we call collections. So for instance, this month's collection is movements. So you can go on there and you say, okay, I'm joining this month's collection for movements, and you might have 6 to 8 videos based on movements that you can go through. But if you're an all access member, you get that content plus all the other movement drills and every other drill or every other video that we have on there. So it's a great way for people to connect and to get better and progress in their shooting and in their journey. But another easy way to reach me is just maxmichel.com, maxmichel.com. That's where you can find out about classes and sponsors, about the Patreon account, about my big experience in Las Vegas we do each year, which is a ton of fun, a VIP experience. That's cool. Super cool. But yeah, lots going on, and I'd love to see anybody out there.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being on with us, man.
Heck yeah, man.
All right, guys. I hope that's a little motivation. Go do a little training, challenge yourself, improve your shooting. It'll pay off. We'll see you next time on Gun Talk Nation.